Hey, Steve.
Yes, good morning.
Hi. No sound yesterday.
Yeah, there was nothing.
I know. I couldn't get the sound on, so I wrote him a note.
No, I had nothing.
I told him to check the sound. No, I got on, but I couldn't. He was talking without sound. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens today. Otherwise, probably won't be able to stay anyway because I have to go somewhere. Uh, well, we'll try. Yeah, yeah.
Where do you have to go?
Well, my wife has to go to Rosh Chodesh davening, and I have a Ainsley board meeting. So,
Yeah,
other than that, and he's going to start late because of Rosh Chodesh. So,
right.
how long I'm going to
And
stay?
there's a Wolverton board meeting today also, but I can't get there from Long Island.
I can, unfortunately. No, I have to go. Yeah, I have to go today. Yeah, we have it at 10 o'clock. So, uh, it's very hard for the treasurer not to go.
That'd be very good, but they'd wonder if you're in Brazil.
Oh, Brazil. Yeah, okay.
Or maybe the Cayman Islands.
That'll be all right.
Yeah. All the money.
So, what they do in Wilmington on the engineer? Anything at all?
I don't know.
No. Okay. We were just plain dumb lucky, I guess. The day before Surfside fell down in Florida, down in Miami,
Yeah.
we had hired an engineer to look at the buildings. So we were lucky. The fact is, we were scheduled already before it fell down. So we
Yeah, did you get a report?
and they gave us a report of what the I think the board is supposed to get the results today. I read it already.
How bad is it?
Other than stupidity, not too bad. I'm very surprised. Now, a couple of things. Change the change the garage doors. Maybe some more lighting. Nothing structurally, except for the well, which has always been the stupid
Yeah.
plates and the expansion plates. See what they're going to do with those. That's the big
Where are
change.
they? Where are the plates?
They're on the floors, the expansion joints that cover the plates. Now they're
Yeah, I
raised
know,
up.
but which plates are you talking about, though?
The ones that are on the second, third, and fourth floors. The buildings. It's been a problem as far as I know for 30 years since they put them in.
I didn't know that the building had expansion joints.
Yours does not. They covered them over. They got rid of them.
Aha. Okay.
Yours are covered with concrete, I believe, straight above. Your Decotech they put down.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I didn't feel like spending $200,000 for the Decotech, so we'll see what they come up with. They have a solution today. We'll see. Let's put it this way: as the treasurer, I don't vote, so it's good.
Yeah.
And we carry out the wishes of the board. So I don't get blamed. I just carry out the mandate for whatever they want to do.
The thing that seems the strangest to me is the lack of consistency in the for the windows and doors and whatever else in the backs of the buildings.
In the back, oh, the doors on the first floor, you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Right, they're not the same. That's correct.
Anybody does whatever they want.
Not really. They have to follow some rules, but they can put in different ones. Right.
Yeah.
They can put full length or partial, small ones, windows with a wall.
Yeah.
As long as long as they have on the first floor, and each floor is different. It has to have a lintel. It has to have a door on the first floor. Why, I don't know. Oh, that's for exit, in case of egress. Well, but I said, oh, what happens if you live on the second, third, and fourth floor?
Right, exactly.
What do you jump out a window? I mean, supposed to be a second egress out of the other apartment.
Well, I think the reason is that all of our buildings come under the Palm Beach County Commercial Building Code.
Correct.
They're not residential buildings as far as the Palm Beach County is concerned.
That is probably correct. They're only
Yeah.
they're business structure. That's all they are. Question
Yeah.
is, why can you get out from the first floor but not the second and third and fourth floors? I don't know. Could never figure that out.
Well, yeah, because they figured that if they have you put a door on the second, third, and fourth floor in the back, and you take that first step, you may hurt yourself.
Yeah, right. So they put a door. They made you put a door in the front, in the back,
Right.
and and then they had bushes right there. And I said, wait a minute, how do you bungee jump? What do? You jump out over the bushes? I mean,
Yeah, right.
that was initially how it was. Or then they made you put a light back there also on the first floor. A light in the back, just in case you had a egress in the middle, in the dark. And I go,
Okay.
some of the rules make sense. Some are like, all right, maybe I could understand why.
The problem and the issue again is because they are considered commercial buildings.
Right,
They're the same as office buildings as far as Palm Beach County is concerned.
right.
They're the same as department stores as far as Palm Beach County is concerned.
You're right. And would they put a door on the second floor of a building without a fire escape, to walk down? No, probably
Yeah, right.
not. So that's what they did here. I don't know. Maybe they'll, well, now they want to have a new rule in Palm Beach County. And want to make it a 30-year audit of the building with 10,
Yeah.
and then a 10-year redo every 10 years. I said, okay.
That'll make a lot of business for the engineers and for the contractors.
You're right. It goes from 1 degree from 0 to overkill. And then they go crazy on the overkill. Oh, Ken Green's coming on. All right, so let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Let's see if he has sound. I see he has no. Oh, he's muted. Oh, that's not too bad. All right. Ken, you're muted. Ken, you got to put your sound on. All right.
We can't hear you.
We can't hear you. Now I know his sound is up full, so I know he's muted.
Wonder if I should call him.
I wrote him an email this morning in response to his. No, now he's off. Nope.
I just called him and told him that we couldn't hear him.
Ken, you're muted.
You hear me?
No, now we do.
Now we can hear you, yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, we're just getting to the
Oh, we almost lost you. No, now we lost them altogether.
Got some major bandwidth problems there.
all right, we're just I'm gonna
Welcome back.
okay.
Zev, what happened to you yesterday?
I didn't feel well. I had to go home.
So, all right. You should have told me I'd have driven you.
So a year of learning sponsors real quickly. Year of learning Suwanani Garlic in memory of Malcolm Perman and Philip Man. Yisrael David Ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch. Beryl Ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch. Yosef Meir Ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch. And Yerivka Pro Razna Bas Arav Tzvi Hirsch. Arav Tzvi Hirsch Ben Shlomo Yaakov. Sarah Ben Ephraim. Yisrael David Ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch. Ephraim Ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch. Adia Ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch. Miriam Ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch. Pesel Ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch. Shalom Ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch. Shalom Shlomo Yaakov Ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch. Shmuel Ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch. Shall assure her children and grandchildren in memory of her uncle, founding member of BRS, Dr. Israel Book, Yisrael Ben Arav Akiva, Marsha Federbush and family in memory of her husband, Dr. Oriel Paul Federbush, Oriel Pinchas Ben Arav Shimon, Sharon and Fred Liska, their family and many friends. In memory of her dear mom, Harriet Friedman Elubas Yaakov, Leslie and Gail Kaplan, in memory of their parents, Harry and Marjorie Sedell, Irving and Pearl Kaplan, friends of Avi Gitler, Avramea Ben Shimon and Martha Gitler, Chana Bad Yeshaya, children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren of Toby Paris, Saratova Bad Yisrael Dov in her memory, friends of Joe Wolf, Yosef Ben Chaim, Charlie Gelfenstein and Sam Levine in memory of Ramona Levine, Rachel Bat Asher. A month of learning by Ronald and Susan Podolsky in memory of his father, Tzvi Ben Pinchas. Phyllis and Chaim Reese in memory of her mother, Malka Bat Zev. And today, the 6th, right? Francine Capel, a day of learning in memory of her mother, Bracha Bas Harav Chaim, and Shemus Hevelia, Crank Lafia Velta Shiva Shematalia, L'chol B'nai Israel, Good Gaben Shtiar.
Amen.
Okay, is everybody here?
Amen. Amen.
All right. What? Okay, no, today, okay, gentlemen. Okay, the word is as follows right now. As of Monday, the 11th, 4 o'clock, Century Grill. Mel has made arrangements for the seal. Okay, there, 4 o'clock. That's what he called me yesterday, last night.
Reservations by noon, son.
Let Michael or Mel know. Okay, please. All right. And I will speak to you privately, Michael.
What?
I'll spell it. Okay.
Can I get takeout?
Can you get takeout? Yeah. I don't know, Steve. Okay, all right. And that
If
is,
he wants to call them and order, he could drive by and take out.
he's not here. He's in New Jersey.
No, you can't get takeout from New
Long
Jersey.
Island, yeah, Long Island.
Okay, gentlemen, let's get started. I have a full day today.
So a $12 hamburger will cost you $50 to ship. You can get it, you can go to a restaurant in Teaneck.
Excuse me, you go to the baseball game, it's the same thing.
Yeah. Okay, bottom of Lamed Vav Amud Beis. No, that's not where we are yet. Right? Well, we got the
I think
long.
that's
Right,
tomorrow.
that's tomorrow. Okay, so I'm gonna pick up.
You start at the top.
No, I know that. There's an issue going on that I've got to deal with, but so I've got to change my whole head here. Inami ladich gisa. Ama deleka hefsed mamon. Valhacha deika hefsed mon afilu tovanam. Hatam there in regards to Shabbos we learn. Aval lo et ha'otzar, not the storeroom. Va'amar Shmuel, but Shmuel says as follows. Mai aval lo et ha'otzar, what does that mean? Aval lo yigmor et ha'otzar kulo. One cannot empty out the entire storehouse. Why? Dilma ate la'ashuye gomot. Why? Because he might come to fill in. In removing the stuff, that's not the problem. The problem is in removing the stuff, he might create holes in the
His wife
dirt
might
floor,
notice the holes, so she
okay,
says, "Go."
and he would come to fill those in. Hachamai, that's where we left off. Okay, hatam here. I mean there. I'm sorry. Hu b'Shabbat asur mishum dechamir. There we might argue maybe we're talking about the prohibition because it's Shabbos and people are more stringent. Aval Yom Tov, the Q, where people maybe take Yom Tov a little more leniently, Shapir Dami. Okay, maybe that's a different story,
Take everything.
right? Oh, Dilma, perhaps. Hatam de'ika bitul Beit Midrash. Maybe we're talking about the fact that because of concern about the place for learning, it's all right to remove everything. Okay, and therefore, Amart lo, Amart, and you would say lo. That's not the case. Hacha deleka bitul Beit Midrash, and that in Yom Tov there is not an issue of no base Midrash place. Lo, no again, kol shekain, how much more so? Could still be an issue. Remember, they used to come to visit their Rebbeim on Yom Tov. That was a common practice to hear a public discourse. Okay, Vahacha here, Tnan, but here our Mishnah teaches Mishilin Perot Derech Aruba B'Yom Tov, that it's acceptable to lower this produce by means of the skylight on Yom Tov. Va'amar Rav Nachman, says Rav Nachman, Lo Shanu Ela Ba'oto Hagag. We said there's a condition, according to Rav Nachman, it has to be on the same roof. Aval Migag Lagag, lo. But from one roof to another, that's not the case. Vitanya, and we taught Nami Hachi, and we have a Braita that teaches as well the same. Ein metaltalin migag lagag, afilu keshegagotehen shavin. We can't lower from or transfer, let's put it that way, from one roof to another, even when the roofs are equal. Okay, Hatam, there, what we're talking about, moving sacks, all right, for either study or for guests. What is it? Kol shekain Shabbat, techamira. All the more reason why, because there we say the people are more stringent. O Dilma, or perhaps Hacha. Here, in our case, that's the moving of the produce from the roof, right? Huda asur mishum yom tov. Why? We might say maybe it should be forbidden. The keel, because people might take it more leniently. Va'ate lezilzule be, and they'll come to disrespect the Yom Tov. Aval Shabbat, the Chamira, but Shabbos, where people are more stringent, velo ate lezilzule be, and people won't disrespect it.
It's not a case of rishus, right?
No. Shapir Dami, that would be better. Oh, so now we're going to take the whole discussion, flip it, and go the opposite way. O Dilma, or perhaps Mahacha. Again, here, when we're talking about moving produce from roof, and we're going to get back and forth. Hacha Sham, Hacha here, Hatam, back and forth. That's why I keep repeating it. Here refers to moving produce from the roof. The Ika Hefsed Peirot, that there might be the loss of produce, right? Because of rain or whatever. Amart, you say no. Hatam, there regarding moving the sacks, right? Deleka hefsed perod, where there wouldn't be a loss of produce. Lo kol shekain, how much more so? Hacha, here again, moving the produce. Tnan, we learned, lo yishal shem bechevel bechalonot. Okay, we cannot lower it by rope through windows. Velo yoridam derech sulamot. Nor can we bring it down by ladders.
By ropes, comma, by windows,
Right.
comma, or
Right.
by ladders.
And now there's another example. All right. No, that's not exactly the case. All right, it's not by ropes, comma, windows, comma, by ropes
By rope
through the
through a window.
windows.
By rope through window.
Oh, okay.
That's what it
By
is.
rope through window.
Okay, and then, or by, in other words, you could lower it through a rope by the skylight. That seems to be okay, but not through the window. Okay, so let's see what happens. Hatamai, what is the reasoning there? What's the situation? Hacha biyom tov. Here we're talking about moving produce on Yom Tov. Huda asur, that's where it's forbidden. Deleka bitul beit hamidrash, because there we say there is no rationale of the question of losing study. Aval Shabbat, the ika bitul beit hamidrash, but on Shabbos where there could be that loss because of lack of study time, Shapir Dami, maybe it's better there. O Dilma, again we're going to flip it, or perhaps Hacha, here regarding moving the produce. Deika have said parota mart, well, but there you might say no. Hatam, there regarding this moving sacks. The leka have said perot, where there's no loss of produce. Lo kol shekin, how much more so that's not an issue. Teku, we have no final decision. Okay, all right, we get to a new piece now in the from the Mishnah. Umechasin et perot, and we can cover these this produce. Okay, remember yesterday Michael and I were presenting, is it through use of a cloth that could cover it? Or are we talking about actually putting a utensil over the items? Either way, Amar Ula says the follows, Va'afilu avira delivni. And his Ula's statement, you can even put it to cover a pile of bricks. Okay, now that clearly I would say seems to imply putting a cloth as opposed to a single utensil. So keep that in mind. All right. Rebbe Yitzchak Amar, what does he say? Perot haru'uyim. We're talking about produce that is suitable, edible, appropriate. Va'azda Rabbi Yitzchak Latame. And Rabbi Yitzchak followed his line of reasoning. The Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, who says, Ein kli nital, elo devar nital b'Shabbat. That was what was problem for me, okay? In other words, no utensil, item, okay, could be clothing, could be a utensil, a vessel, okay, according to him, is only appropriate to be taken if it's, I'm going to say, normally appropriate for Shabbat, okay? Shabbat use,
No.
all right?
You cover
L'davar
the-
hanitar b'Shabbat.
You may not take something and cover something unless the covered thing is not muktzah. That's what it means.
We'll come back to that. We'll see. I think it means both, actually. Okay? That the item that you
The
take
item
has
that
to
you
be
cover
used, and the
can't-
question of the item being covered
Covered.
is what its status
So
is.
you're not being mevatel okay.
Right? It's not. So we have a Mishnah that teaches Mechasin et haperot. Says this Mishnah, one can cover produce bekelim, and this seems to be implying with cloths. Okay, perot in avira delivne lo. Here we're saying produce, yes. On top of bricks, no. Hu hadin da afilu avira delivne. But we might say that the law should be implied even on top of a pile of bricks.
Can be.
Okay? Va'ide detana resha, mishilin perot. And since our Braita teaches that, and at the outset, that we can lower these produce, Tana Seifa, Nami mechasinet perot. That therefore, from a literary point of view, okay, they structured it so that at the end of the text, it also talks about covering produce. It's not. But now we have another Mishnah. V'chein kadei yayin, v'chein kadei shemen.
It's the same.
It's really the same Mishnah, right? It also said further that one could, what about utensils for wine or utensils, vessels for oil?
You have
All right.
open bottles of wine or oil.
Exactly. That's
on
what
the
we're going to
roof.
get to. We're going to get to that in just a second. Okay. All right. So let's not jump ahead. Hacha b'mai yaskinan. What are we talking about? Betivla. We're talking about a situation of items that are bottles of wine or oil, okay? And they are considered tevel. In other words, they have not been tithed yet.
So they're
And
not
therefore,
edible.
they are not edible, number one, and thus they must be muktzah. That's the point. That's what our concern is. Okay? And therefore, if the bricks are muktzah as well, therefore that's the issue of if they're coverable.
So that means that knocks out Rabbi Yitzchak.
Mhm. Okay. Hachanami mistabra. And this seems logical. The isa gadatach kadayayin v'kadei shemen dehetera. Because if you were of the opinion that we were talking about pitchers or casks, whatever, of wine or of oil, and they are permissible, in other words, they're usable to be drunk or used, right? Hatana le resha perot. But here,
We already learned it.
we learned that from the beginning of the Mishnah that referred to produce. Kade yayin v'kade shemen. So why then did we have to even bring up the topic of the kade yayin and kade shemen?
It's no
Gemara
connection.
tells us it's tarichale. Why we needed to bring that up? Why? Salkadatach. Because it's possible, Amina, I might have said, lahefsed meruba chashashu, that the Mishnah was only dealing with a greater loss. That was our concern. Lahefsed muat lo chashashu. But for a small loss,
Bottle
a
of
few,
blue.
whatever it is, okay, kamash malan, it comes us to tell us that's not the case. Okay, Tnan, now our Mishnah teaches. Notnim kli tachat hadelef b'Shabbat. Okay, that we can put a utensil,
This
all right,
time it's a pot.
okay, probably a pot, right? Whatever, under the dripping water on Shabbos. So the Gemara says, Badelef haraui. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, a dripping water spot that, okay, is certainly going to,
The water is clean enough
okay,
to drink.
yeah, we're going to say in just a second. We're saying that it's water that is, let's say, suitable. What do we mean suitable? It must be at least beneficial for animals to drink, if not certainly for human beings. Okay, so that's the Delaf Haroi. Tashma, says the Gemara. Porsin mechatzelet al gabe levanim. This Braita tells us that we can spread a mat over bricks. Bishabbat, on Shabbat. Okay. The itur mi binyana, that are left over from building. Why? Dechaze lemizka alayhu, because they are suitable for being sat upon. Tashma, listen to the following Braita. Porsin machatzelet al gabe avanim b'Shabbat. It tells us we can spread a mat over stones on Shabbat. What kind of stones? Ba'avanim mekurzalot. I'm going to translate this as rounded stones, which was Corin's translation, as opposed to art scroll sharp pointed. Why? The chazyan lebeit hakise, because they're usable to be used as a place to sit. By the way, if you look in the news recently, they just discovered in Israel, in Jerusalem, a royal toilet. Right.
They used stones as toilet paper.
Yes,
And
I
what
know
we're
that.
talking about is sharp edges, so you can use it as a
I
scraper.
understand.
No, that's what it means. That's
I
why they
understand
translate
that's-
it sharp.
I understand why
Okay,
Art Scroll decided sharp. I didn't like that translation.
fair enough.
I liked Cohen's better
Okay.
because that's better. Okay, right? It's right. Tashma, listen to the following. Porsin machatzelet agabe kurat dvorim b'Shabbat.
Rashi says like kaneh.
I know. Okay. Well, that's all right. Tosafot disagrees with Rashi sometimes too. So I'm not surprised that Koren and Art Scroll can disagree either. Okay?
Oh,
So-
I'm not. You just know that. I'm looking
No,
for that.
you're likely they're going to disagree with
I don't
Rashi.
see that
No.
too.
Okay. So what happens? So we can spread a mat on a beehive. Okay? On Shabbat. What's continuing this bright? Bechama, when the sun is out, mipnei chama, because of the sun. Uvigeshamim, and during rainy time, mipnei hageshamim, because of the rain. Ubilvad shalo yitkavein letzud, so long as one's intent is not to capture them, hunt them.
Keep the
Can
bees in.
keep the bees. Hatam there, nami deika devash. But we're also saying there that there's still honeycombs, which we're going to get to momentarily, inside the beehive for the benefit of the bees or for the benefit of the beekeeper. Okay? Amarle, says Rav Ukva.
So it's not muktzah.
Right.
You cover it.
Mimishim le Rav Ashi. Okay. All right. And others say it's right. He mentions it to Rav Ashi. Right. Hatenach biyamotachama. That's acceptable during the days of the sun. The ikadavash, so long as there's honey there. Biyamot shamim, and the days of rainy days. Ma'ikila mema. What are you going to say about that? Lo nitzracha ela laotan shate chalot. Now we're talking about a situation there, okay? Right, that there are at least two honeycombs there, right? Right, where either the beekeeper is going to be able to eat it or the bees eat it.
What is bedafka? He leaves a little honey so the
Right.
bees can sustain
Right.
themselves.
Right, during the winter months. Otan shtei chalot muktzot. Okay, those two honeycombs,
Now a kasha.
maybe now that's a problem because they're muktzah, set aside. Hey, hacha b'mayas kinan. What are we talking about? Shecheshev aleihem. He had considered it and ready. The beekeeper already had in mind in advance of the winter that he was going to eat honey himself, and he will leave some there in the hive for the bees to sustain themselves during the winter.
Kasha delay, and he's maybe I'll take some honey and put it in my tea.
Right? What's the situation? Asur, otherwise it would be forbidden. Adatani ubilvad shelo yitkavein litzud. Clearly, he has to have in mind that it wasn't his intent to trap the bees inside. Liflog. So let's separate it in this case and say velitne bedida, and say it's regarding him. Teach it for him. B'med varim amorim. What are we talking about? Shecheshev alehen, that he considered concern about them. Aval lo cheshev alehem. But if he didn't keep them in mind, the bees, asur, then it would be forbidden. Hachikama. This is what it means to tell us. Afal pi shecheshev alehen ubilvad shelo yitkavein letzud. In other words, that he had the bees as well as in mind, and some for himself, but so long as he's not trapping them. But Mayokimta, if that's the case, how did we establish that Braita? How did we interpret it? Rabbi Yehuda, the Itle Muktzah. Then it must be according to the view of Rabbi Yehuda, who says there is this extended concept of Muktzah. Ema Sefer. But I would say, hey, look at the end of this text. So long as he doesn't have the intent to capture them, to hunt them. At the end, the Rabbi Shimon. I might then teach it according to Rabbi Shimon also, who says, Damar davar she'ein mitkavein mutar, that something that does where one doesn't have intent is permitted. V'tisbara the Rabbi Shimon with a big shaila afterwards. All right, a big question. Do you really think that's possible according to the view of Rabbi Shimon? V'ha'abai v'rabba. But both Abai v'rabba, the Amrei Travayu, the two of them say, Mode Rabbi Shimon, seek Reshe v'lo yamut. That Rabbi Shimon does acknowledge the concept of muktzah when it entails a situation of psik reshe v'lo yamut, that there is an ultimate end that's going. I'm not phrasing it right. Okay,
It's not muktzah. We're not talking now. The shakla v'tarya is, if you're talking about muktzah, why did it bring in tzida, which is an av malacha? So then it says it also wants to teach tzida. And it's like Reb Shimon, because he says lo miskaven.
okay.
And now we're asking, but he acknowledges that this mat is going to prevent.
Oh, wait,
you
well,
from
okay,
leaving.
hold on,
That's
hold
a
on, hold on.
secret.
Okay.
So he should not allow putting the
All right,
mat.
so
It can't
question
be
of does
with
you have the mat put there? Because isn't that going to ultimately result in the death of the ant, right?
or the trapping
Trapping of
bees,
the animals.
of the bees.
Le'olam kula Rabbi Yehuda. No, the Gemara comes to the conclusion
Has to be.
that this text has to be according to the view of Rabbi Yehuda. V'hacha b'mayas kinan, what are we talking about? The it be kave, that there are little, so to speak, windows, openings
that the bees
in
can
the
go
beehive,
In the
so
beehive.
they can go in and
So the
out.
mat's not going to deter.
So the
them.
mat is, even though it may cover the top of the beehive, and Koren, by the way, has a picture actually of a beehive from the time of the Mishnah and Gemara, okay, in it, all right, and you can see that it's like a conical, reverse cone, okay, and coming to the point with an opening and a small hole in the bottom, okay, so that velo tema the Rabbi Yehuda ubilvad shelo yikaven mitzvah. So therefore, shouldn't you be able to say that according to Rabbi Yehuda, you don't have to specifically say that the intent about capturing them? Ela ema, but I would say, as we go to Amud Beis, ubilvad shayola asena mitzuda, so long as you don't do some form of trap. Pshita, isn't that obvious? Mahu detema. So what then are you saying? B'mino nitzud asur. Shalo b'mino nitzud mutar. Okay, we might there think that if it's a variety that is trappable, okay,
Usually trapped.
okay, that is forbidden. If it's a variety of animal that's not usually trappable, okay, it's permitted. Kamash malan, that's not the case.
That even bees can be trapped.
Bees can, right,
The
any,
eggshells covering the yellow.
so that then
jackets.
says you don't do it that way on Shabbat. Okay, Rav Ashi Amar, this is Rav Ashi, he's going to give a slightly different explanation. Mi katani b'yamot hachama u'v'yamot hageshamim. Did this text teach the days of the sun or the days of the rain? In other words, summer versus winter. Bechama mipnei hachama. It taught because the sun during the sun time. U'b'geshamim. So mipnei hagshamim, and rain because of the rain. Katani. That's what it taught. B'yomei Nisan of Yomei Tishrei. Okay, all right.
So the
During
months
the
that
month
they're
of
both,
Nisan, in other words, during some part of the spring, will be Yomei Tishrei, or during some part of the fall.
where there's
The
both
Ika Chama ve'Ika Gshamim, where there can be both rain, sun, or there can also be rain. Ve'Ika Devash,
there's
and so
also-
long as there is
also-
honey in the beehive. Okay, let's go on now. Right? V'notnin kli tachet hadalaf b'Shabbat, and it said that we can put a utensil, okay, under this dripping water on Shabbos. Now we're going to get to a short story here, but first, Tana im nitmalei hakli. There's a braita that teaches that if this utensil got filled up from that drip water, shofech v'shoneh, one can pour it out and put the utensil back a second time. Ve'eino nimna, and one doesn't have to be concerned, worried about it. Now here comes our story. Bei Rechai de Abaye Dalaf, the mill house of Abaye, which was made out of clay, we need to know that, okay, was dripping, okay. Ata the Kame de Rabba, he came before Rabba, who is not only his teacher, but his uncle, in a sense, who adopted him, to ask a shaila. Amarle, he said to him, Rabba answered, Zil aile lepurech lahatam, go and schlep your bed over there and put it there inside this mill house. De lahave kigraf shel ra'i va'afke, because then it will be like a vessel that contains excrement and you can remove it. What did Abaye do? Yativ Abaye v'kakashale. Abaye sat and he pondered this answer that Rabbah gave him. V'chi osin graf shel re'i l'chadchila. Does one initially, ab initio, l'chadchila, go out and establish a utensil so that you'll catch excrement and then be able to take it out? Is that permissible? Adahachi nafam berachat Abaye. At that point, what happened?
He's thinking that his whole meal.
Right, his whole meal, because it was clay, right? The water, the dripping water resulted in ruining the clay. It probably wasn't a big meal house. It was a small, like a small, a portable, like a house utensil.
The millstone itself,
Okay.
the upper millstone is affixed to the shaft with clay.
Right. Okay.
So the water ran down and
it ruined
loosened it, and it
Right.
and broke the mill.
Right, it broke the object. Adahachi nafal be'rechad Abaye. Amar, and he says, Titi li da avri adamar. Woe is me because I didn't listen to my master. All right, that's the point. Amar Shmuel says, Graf shel ra'i va'avit shel meimei regalim. Okay, taking a utensil that has excrement or a container that has urine in it, mutar lahotzian la'ashpa. It is permitted to remove them and put them in the garbage. All right, ukshehu machziro, and when he brings it back, notain bo mayim, put a little water in it. Okay, umachziro, and then bring it back. Savur mina. we would learn from this that the opinion seems to be graf shorei agav mana in a container, a vessel for excrement that is okay with a utensil inside. Okay,
No,
that
is
as
full.
as a utensil.
No,
Which
graf
has
shorei that's full.
the
Right.
excrement in it.
Right.
Okay,
Agav
that's not
mana.
what I saw.
No,
And
graf
yes,
shorei agavmana. The graf shorei can be taken out.
right.
because it's
The
got stuff in
utensil
it.
with stuff in it,
Right.
right? That can be removed. Bifnei atzmo, simply to empty out the contents of the vessel. All right, low. One can't do that. That would seem to be the case. Tashma. But I'm going to say, listen to the following Braita. Dahahu achbarta. There was a dead mouse. The ishtakach be asparmake the Rav Ashi, found in the spice cabinet, spice chest of Rav Ashi. Amar laho Rav Ashi, and Rav Ashi said to one of his servants, Nakte betzutzita va'afkuha. Take it by the tail and throw it out. Okay, so that disagrees with the earlier statement about just what?
Can it be moved through a camelus, or, in other words, you're taking it out
To the ashpa,
To the ash.
which is in your rishus harabah. I mean, sorry.
Gotta be in your private
A
roof.
yachid.
Being able to grab shaway in a camelus.
You should not,
No one shouldn't.
unless there's an name.
All right, Matnitin, let's go on with the new Mishnah, guys. Okay. Kol shechayavin alav mishum shvut. All right, we're getting into a slightly different topic here. All right, where one is obligated due to shvut, right, rabbinical enactments, okay, prohibiting behavior, malachas, mishum reshut, optional behaviors, mishum mitzvah, right, because of a potential b'Shabbat. In other words, regard these things, you're prohibited likewise on Yom Tov. Okay? Ve'elu hein mishum shvut. And now we're going to get some specific examples. What do we mean by items that are prohibited because of rabbinical enactments of work? Lo olin be'ilan. One doesn't climb up a tree. Velo rochvin al gabe behema. One doesn't ride on an animal. Velo shatin al pnei hamayim, and one doesn't swim. Velo metapchin, and one doesn't clap their hands. Velo misafkin, and one doesn't slap their thighs. Velo merakdin, and one doesn't dance. Ve'elu mehein mishum reshut, and these are examples of things that are optional. Why are they optional? Because there may be an aspect of mitzvah.
The new list.
Wait. There may be an aspect of mitzvah with it, but it's not a complete mitzvah. Okay? Wait. Hold on. Okay? Velo dani, we don't go into court situations. Velo mikadshin, we don't become engaged for marriage. Velo cholzin, we don't perform chalitza. Velo miyabnin, and we don't do a yibum. Ve'elu hein mishum mitzvah. Now we get clearly to another level, okay, where there is a clear, complete mitzvah associated with it, okay, but we're still a question of being over, okay. V'lo makdishin, we can't make something consecrated. V'lo ma'arichin, we don't make a value vow on the object. V'lo machrimin, and we don't dedicate an item for, right? All right, for whether it's a Kohen or the Beis Hamikdash, whatever. V'lo magbihin truma u'maaser, and we don't establish truma u'maaser. We don't lift the object, declaring it as that. Kol elu b'Yom Tov amru. All these things in Yom Tov. What did they say? Kal v'chomer b'Shabbat. how much more so are they forbidden to be done on Shabbos? Ein bein Yom Tov l'Shabbos, ela ochel nefesh bilvad. So we finish the Mishnah with the general klal, the general statement there. Okay. Now, let's go on. The Gemara is going to pick up and discuss in more detail why these certain things are prohibited. Right? Number one, lo olin be'ilan, we don't climb up the tree. Gzera shema yitlosh, namely one might pull off. Exactly. Is very first. One is going to ride out on the bench and use it to as a whip or a what do you call it? Something else here. To, what? Yeah, that would be another example, right? Okay. Velo shatina pnei hamayim. Why don't we say that one doesn't swim? Perhaps one will use a barrel like we think of a swimming tube, all right, for swimmers.
Like we use a board.
A board or a, what do they call it? A noodle, right? Velo matapchim, we don't clap. Velo masapkin, we don't slap our thighs. Velo marakdin, we don't dance. Gzera shema yitakin kli shir. Why? Because we gzera lest one form some sort of musical instrument. Ve'elu hein mishum reshut lo danim. And these are the ones we said that were optional. We don't go into court. Vaha mitzvah kavi. But isn't one doing a mitzvah? Okay, in terms of a court situation? Lo tzricha, no, we needed to say this. Why? De'ika da'adif mine. Why? Because it's possible that one could be another person who is more familiar with the case or better qualified to rule on the case.
Right.
All right, and therefore let that. Velo mikadshi, and we don't become engaged. Vaha mitzvah kavi. Okay, isn't that a mitzvah? Lo tzricha. No, we needed to say it. Let's just go over a tiny bit. Why? De'ile isha uvanim. Because we're talking about a man that already has a wife and children. So he's fulfilled.
So getting married is
the
no
second
longer a
time,
mitzvah.
Okay, in this case. In other words, having a second wife,
It's not a mitzvah.
it's not a mitzvah. Just remember that.
It's a
Okay.
surah.
All right. Lo cholzin velo miyabni. Okay, we said quickly that we don't perform chalitza or yibum. Vaha mitzvah kavid. But aren't they doing a mitzvah? Lo tzricha. No, we needed to say this. Why? The ika gadol. Why? Because there is
Another
Older
sibling.
brother.
the older brother,
Another
who
sibling
mitzvah
who's
begadol
born.
liyabim, and the mitzvah belongs to the older brother, liyabim. V'kulhu tama mai, and what is the reasoning there? Gzera shema yichtov, lest one write. In other words, they would tend to write a document, okay, in regards to this or that action.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment that at later usage, the categories would be called shvus or rishus, then mitzvah, and then kol. Some things are a mitzvah.
Yeah.
Like if you have